Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be doing a review for the new Team of the Week, Timo Werner. This is his third version of his card. He has an 85 and 86 and now this is his 87. There have been a few upgrades to his card. I'm looking at the card right now. There's like 2 or 3 things that would be kind of annoying with this card, but it's a little bit crazy that it costs 500k. I gotta put that out there right now. I think a big reason why it costs 500k is because, except for Ronaldo, right, being the bare minimum of a striker that's actually really good, Timo Werner is kind of close to the meta, right? Because he has 94 finishing, which is really great, but then he has that 78 composure, so they kind of like balance out a little bit in a weird way, right? He has 80 shot power, 72 long shots, 89 volleys. He has 82 jumping, 84 heading accuracy. So we're going to look at the specifics, right, of what's going to make the card good and what's going to make it bad, right? Because, again, Timo Werner is one of those close to meta cards, but I still feel like he's not really there to the point where I would really like the card, in my opinion. So, player bio. What's his work rates? High, medium. High, medium is beautiful. For a striker, if you're going to be using him as a striker, that's the ideal work rates, right? High is a really weird work rate to work with. The movement is more conservative than it is attacking. He's going to really try to utilize his pace to try to get in behind. And when he does put pressure against the defense, he will still come back and occupy a little bit of a midfield role so that you can still use the time finesse shots if you really want to, right? He has a 4-star weak foot, bare minimum requirement to make you a good striker. If you have a 3-star weak foot, it just kind of sucks. You can hit shots with the 3-star weak foot. It's possible, but it's not that ideal. It's not like a consistent thing. FIFA's driven shots are not consistent, but it's more about those time finesse shots where, you know, if you find yourself in a situation where Timo Werner is on the right side and you want to cut into the left side to hit with his left foot, you can do that with his 4-star weak foot. But there's a little bit of a problem, and we're going to get into that, right? 3-star skill moves kind of sucks too, because there are moments where you want to do that skill move. Since my controller is on the screen, right? It's basically like flick backwards, flick upwards, right? It's flick backwards, flick upwards, or downwards, right? And that skill move is really nice to kind of put yourself into a position to be able to hit certain shots, right? Drag back, he'll do it. He won't do it that quickly though, because his agility and balance it's gonna feel very similar, honestly, to like a little bit like Heung-min Son. It's not gonna be like super agile like when you use like Hazard, Neymar, Salah, or any of those types of guys. So it'll be a little bit slower for him to pull it off, but he will still be able to do it, right? And then 3-star skill moves. That's the one skill move. So it's obviously the flick, right? And scoop turns doesn't really help that much. I don't know about the new skill moves like the croqueta where you hold LB and you just hold the right stick so that he can do the Iniesta croqueta where he accelerates the ball into a certain position. I'm not sure if that's a 4-star skill move, but if it is, you'll also be missing that with him, which kind of sucks. If it's a 4-star skill move, it's still effective, because the reason why this skill move is so effective, or this, or this, or this, depending on the area that you're in, it's nice to be able to do that skill move to put yourself into a position to finesse shot it right away, right? It's actually more effective than the ball roll, right? It's actually not really worth doing the ball roll that often. It's more effective to do that croqueta because the acceleration that your player puts on the ball and the position that the ball ends up in, it just allows you to hit that finesse shot better. So with the 3-star skill moves, again, I'm not sure if it's a 4-star skill move, but if it is, not necessarily an ideal situation there. So we're gonna look at the specifics of the card now. So general movement on the ball, not gonna be that bad, right? 96 acceleration, 96 sprint speed, 85 agility, 80 balance. So that agility definitely helps out with the card, right? Because of his 80 balance, because he is 5'11", so that's a great height, fantastic height to have as a striker, right? Because that height with good jumping and good heading accuracy is awesome to have, but he doesn't have the strength, right? So it's something that you'll notice when jumping in the air as well. But it's nice to have someone that can jump in the air with 5'11" height. Finishing is 94, attacking position 92, so that's really good. 89 volleys. You know, sometimes when you cross the ball in the air, you don't want to have to take a touch, you just want to shoot it right away. Shot power 80 and 72 long shots. So that's a little bit where the problem is right there, right? Because if your shot power is 80, right, your finesse shots aren't as effective, right? Because if I could show you guys an example, right? So I'm just going to go to Footbin over here, and I'm going to pull up Mane's card stats, right? Sadio Mane is just regular 86 card, right? And if you look at Mane's shot power and long shots, I'm not sure how influential long shots is to that finesse shot, but I can tell you right now that the shot power is definitely influential to the finesse shot, right? Because when you take a shot with Mane, he can hit them, but there are times where he doesn't hit them consistently, right? So because he has 80 shot power, it could be really, really hit or miss, right? And again, I don't know how big of an influence long shots is to the time finesse shot, because I haven't really experimented with multiple players that have low long shots and low shot power than other players that have higher. So I would have to try out the card in-game to notice that specifically. But that could be a problem with those finesse shots, right? His finishing is fantastic, but his shot power is 80, which is still kind of low. Even if you give him a chemistry style like a sniper that I think increases the shot power, I'm going to see how much it actually increases by. So a sniper would increase his finishing by, it would increase his finishing, but not shot power. So you need to actually increase the shot power. So sniper would not be a good chemistry style to put on him. Deadeye, you could give him Deadeye. There is also, I think marksman would be good, because marksman would give him dribbling and physical. But obviously you want to increase the shooting because the shot power is important. Which one is it, chat, that gives him shooting? Shooting, passing, and dribbling would actually be a really good one on his card. Shooting, passing, dribbling. Shooting and dribbling. Because shooting, passing, dribbling actually increases his shot power and long shot. So that's the one I would probably put on him. I'd probably give him a Maestro card, because it does actually touch the long shots and shot power. Whereas if you gave him a sniper card, it doesn't touch the shot power and the long shot. So that's the specific area that you want to increase, right? And then obviously if you give him... Obviously, if you give him the Maestro card, it also increases his dribbling stats in general, but it doesn't touch his composure. So try to focus on increasing that shot power, long shot, and composure as much as possible, because that's the problem with the card, right? It's those three things. You're going to notice those things. But balance being 80 and 85 agility, like I said earlier in terms of the skill moves, he's not going to move rapid. He's not going to be no Mahrez or Salah or Neymar or Hazard. He's not going to be that type of player, right? But considering the height that he is, and considering that you may be using him as a lone striker or a striker with somebody else, because his short passing is 85, which is quite decent as well, he could be a really solid card. So those are the three things that you're going to notice with the card. My chat just suggested to use Finisher, so I'm going to check out Finisher right now. So Finisher, again, you want to increase the composure, right? So, but you could use Finisher. Finisher could be really good. Because you'll increase his physical attributes, and then you'll increase his shooting stats as well. His composure is still 78, but it could still work out really nicely too. So the card looks fantastic, right? He's going to be missing the strength for winning the ball in the air, but he might compensate for it because he's 82 jumping with 5'11 height, right? Decent physical stature in game. He doesn't have a skinny one. He has like an average physical stature. It's not like an Aubameyang skinny stature. It's like an average one, so it's pretty decent. The other things you're going to notice, again, shot power and then the composure. So you want to upgrade those as much as possible. If you can upgrade the agility and balance even more, I would highly recommend doing that, just so you can make those really quick cuts around the field, right? So that's Timo's Werner's card in terms of reviewing it. Now, I don't look at the Bundesliga team too often, right? But I want to see what types of teams you could put Timo Werner in, because right off the bat, right, I'm thinking more along the lines of using him as a center mid, and I'll explain why, right? So center mid, just to start off the team, right? Because if you use him as a center mid, he's a striker card. So as a striker card, you can make him a center mid. So we're going to put Timo Werner right here, and I'll show you guys why I would use him in this position. So if you put Timo Werner in this position as a center mid, I wish it just changed instantly when you put him in a center mid position. The thing you could do with this left side now is pretty nice, because you don't have to use him as a striker and have to link him with strictly Bundesliga players. You can rotate really nicely with this, right? So we'll look at the specifics, right? Like right now, Russillian, I don't know if he has like a really good inform yet. He doesn't, but if he does get a really good I'm surprised. He actually should have got one. I swear he should have got one this week, actually. So that's actually very surprising. So left backs in the league right now. Wait, Russillian's high work rates too. Oh, he's high medium. Okay. So let's look at the left backs right now from this league, right? So league, Bundesliga. We're going to go ahead and go for concepts here. Right, so let's just take a look at the players that are here. So none of these first players are ideal to use in this game. Lewandowski, sure, but he's lacking in the pace, but the physical presence that he has, really awesome shooting accuracy and stuff, could be really good outside the box, right? You can get Marco Reus, obviously, but we're going to try to go a little bit lower in the price department. Arjen Robben's not that great in FIFA in FIFA anymore, in my opinion. Gnabry looks like a cool concept of a card, but he has 75 composure with 82 finishing, so not necessarily ideal. I think he actually has a right mid card that would be kind of cool, but his right mid might actually be cheaper. Let's see what his right mid card is. So if I search for a right mid, because off the bat, right, the links that you would do, yeah, I wouldn't get that Gnabry card, to be honest. You have Sancho for the fun concept. Let's take this out. Just search for the Bundesligas again. Because if I'm going to talk about players at the top of my head, this is what I would do, right? Top of my head would be Boateng, right? A good center back in Boateng where you have the medium work rates, but the card is a little bit odd because of his acceleration, agility, and balance being low, but it's a good center back card in general. Worth trying out, but just not as good as it was in previous years. I've tried them out in the draft sometimes. Those stats are very noticeable on the card. Obviously, Alaba. Alaba is always just a beast in FIFA. I loved using Alaba in one of my drafts. Fantastic card to use. Now you have that one green link, right? And then, honestly, you just need one more link. So if any of you guys did the SBC Gilavogi, which I'm sure most of you kind of did because it was definitely worth doing because of it being a solid CDM. Let's search for my club. And we're going to search for the Bundesliga. So CDM Gilavogi. I'm going to put him right there. And then bam, right? So if you did this team or you did this Gilavogi card, first of all, he's French. So when you have a French player in your team, you can just change this team completely if you really wanted to, right? Your right side could be completely different now, right? You can put, because Boateng already has that full chemistry with Alaba and Werner, right? Gilavogi, why is he a good CDM, right? He's a good CDM because the Bundesliga, right? When you're making a comparison between everybody else, they don't have that many good CDMs, right? Because if you actually search the Bundesliga, because they have center mids that can play as a CDM, but their work rates aren't necessarily ideal, right? So if we search for CDMs from the Bundesliga, these are the results that show up, right? So you could see that Gilavogi is literally the only good actual CDM in the game. There's this guy who's a quote-unquote cheap option, right, that you can definitely get, and he actually might be pretty decent in game, right? Medium-high work rate, 6'1" height, you know, some decent cheap stats. Can't go wrong with that, right? If we look at the center mid cards, the center mid cards that the Bundesliga has to offer, Tolisso would have made a fantastic CDM, but he's high, medium, and work rates. Big problem, right? If he was medium-high, this card would be fantastic as a CDM, okay? Because his agility and balance with good acceleration, he does have low sprint speed, but the acceleration, agility, and balance together really, really helps with the card. Good defensively, good physically. Physically is his specialty, in my opinion. That's when you really notice. And he has good finishing for a person that could play as a CDM, right? But high, medium work rates. Not ideal, right? Not ideal. Goretzka, obviously fantastic. And Goretzka would probably be one of the few options. There's Witsel too. So put Witsel. I think Witsel might be medium work rates. There's Goretzka. Tolisso, again, high, medium, not ideal. And there is nobody else that would play that role well. There's Champions League Renato, but I know that he's more of an attacking player. So Renato could be really good. And then this guy is like a cheap option. So medium work rates, defense, physical. He doesn't look that great. I wouldn't necessarily use that. It's a little bit too cheap for my liking. So these are the three options that you have, right? So when you're making that comparison with Gilavogi in your team, right? These are the three comparisons you make. So a pretty cheap option, right? So with Timo Werner's card, you have to strictly go with Bundesliga or German, right? If you put him here as a center mid, you can switch it in game. So obviously you have your custom tactics right there in the Y. I obviously can't do it now because my team is not filled up yet. But, you know, you got that green link there with the German link. You can put Jonathan Tah there too as a cheaper option if you're looking for a cheaper option, right? You can put Jonathan Tah there. Because he was one of the cheaper options when I first started FIFA too. Put Jonathan Tah there, and then you can put you can use like Farman as your goalkeeper, right? So like if I looked at this right now, you could use Farman as your goalkeeper, right? Again, cheaper option. He has an inform card that costs like I think I sold him for like not too much, right? But these are the other options you would have for CDMs, right? So Witzel, in my opinion, would be one of the better ones out of all these options because he really makes up for it in the agility while being a tall player, right? You got Windle as a left back too. Racilian as a cheap option would be great because 87 pace. If we look at Wendell's card, you also have that Brazilian link up that you can do with Wendell, right? There's a lot of options with Werner. It's not specific, right? So it's another reason why the card is cool because there's so much that you can do with it, right? So, you know, I'd put like Gilavogi being the medium-high player and a little bit sluggish. I'd probably put Renato Sanchez to add a little bit of more depth in your gameplay because he is high work rates with a 4-star weak foot, so he's good at pretty much doing everything. So left, right, transition, right? Because he has 78 agility, 87 balance, 81 acceleration, 81 sprint speed. Like, card's definitely worth trying out, right? Right, so you have an element of having two CDMs if you switch to a 4-2-3-1 that can move around the pitch really nicely. But if you don't want to do this, right, you can completely change this up entirely, right? And you can put someone like Rabiot, who's a fantastic midfielder to have in this game. He would be, again, more of an attacking presence because he's also high, medium, and work rates, left-footed, right? So you can put him on that right side, and then you can completely change your right side if you really want to, right? So you can put Marquinhos. You can put Marquinhos in your team, right? You can put Marquinhos in your team. And if you, I don't know if you guys did, there's a Thomas Munier card right now who's actually pretty solid, to be honest, because he's high work rates, has the heights, can win the physical battles in the air. Definitely worth looking into him for sure, which is this one right here. And then bam, you have that green link there too. So it's really cool because with Gilavogi, right, being the French player, you can now completely change the right side of your team, which is awesome, right? With the rest of the team, you can honestly put like Bundesliga players. You wouldn't even have to put Werner in this position. You can honestly put him over here. If you're going to be using a 4-1-2-2 where Gilavogi is going to be playing as your CDM and you have Rabiot as one of your center mids. Did not mean to back out there. You have Rabiot as one of your center mids, and then you can also, right, add for a better element of gameplay, Renato Sanchez or Goretzka if you're using a narrow formation. Boom. Now, the other two people, right, if you're going to be using Timo Werner, you need to have people who are good at really close control, like dribbling and stuff, right? So if you're going to be putting players in a team, Gnabry would be one of those options, but he is missing a few things that makes the card kind of poor. I think composure is like one of them, right? So let's see the Bundesliga players in general to see if I see anybody who are hidden gems in this league. So nobody here. Robin, Werner, Gnabry. So Gnabry would be one of the options. So we're going to put him in the team just for now. Let's see if there's any hidden gems in here. So there's Ta, who has an inform. There's Marco Reus, but Marco Reus is the downfall of this card is always that it's that stamina, man. 68 is not ideal to have. Hidden gems. Caligari is pretty good as a right back too. Sabitzer, if he had defensive stats, this card would be freaking awesome, man. If he had like 75 defense, this card would be one of the best center mids in the Bundesliga for sure, because high work rates. Also 5'10", worth using this card and trying it out, to be honest. But you are going to be missing that defensive presence for sure. So that's a little bit of a hidden gem there. Thorgan, Hazard, Tolisso, Gilavogi. Farman, Sancho for fun. I wouldn't use Sancho's card because of the lack of composure and finishing, and those are really big stats in FIFA this year. Farman, you can use Coleman as a cheap option. Bellarabi is a good option too, but Bellarabi is very specific to his right foot, so you would have to kind of like change it up. There's Plia too. Plia would be more of a fun concept as well. And I don't see anybody else too crazy in this league, to be honest. Piszek and stuff like that. Okay, so with a team like this, right, you have Bellarabi, who's pretty much your only good option, I think, as a right winger, and like this, you have the German link too, so German and Bundesliga links up pretty well there, and then you can put Gnabry as the other player. So in this moment, you have to choose, if you're going to be using a 4-1-2-2, you have to choose which person you want to be playing as a striker next to Timo Werner, right? And then you have to choose your cam. Personally, I'd probably go possibly with the Bellarabi card, because Gnabry, I think, is going to be really oriented around like really quick dribbling on the ball, so he can open up the space really well for you. Because he is also 5'9". I think Bellarabi is also a similar height. He's 6 foot, so 6 foot's actually really nice to have as a main striker. I don't know if my chat can think of anybody else in the team that would work out. The team is balanced like this, but Bellarabi is a little bit of a throw off, and so is Gnabry's composure and finish. No, it's just composure with the card. The card's characteristics is really good. If you don't use Gnabry's card, you can also still use Coleman's card, because Coleman is revolved around dribbling as well, because you can see his acceleration, sprint speed, agility, balance is really good, but his composure still very low as well. You can also change this right side completely, which one of my viewers just helped me out here, which is a very, very, very good improvement actually. Beautiful actually. Well, this is a cheaper option, but if you want to go with a more expensive option, you can actually go with Kylian over here. Kylian Mbappe, right? You already have the full links with Rabiot, but it also helps to have that link with Gilvolgi. It doesn't, but you have the full links anyways. And then on the right side, you can completely rotate this to be Kimpembe, who is a solid center back to use as well. Put him in that team right there. And then you could put Lala, who's one of the good right backs in League One. I'm not a huge fan of him personally, but there's a lot of people who really, really like him in this game. So that's another way that you can make the team as well, to have a good meta and be able to rotate the team that way. Sané left wing. Sané left wing, German doesn't really work out, unfortunately. Sané left wing, as in like for Manchester City, would be on 7 chemistry. Timo Werner's off chemistry here. So to make this work, you would just switch that there, and then you would have full chemistry this way, right? So that's how your team would start off. And then you can have the full chemistry on every single player. It doesn't have full chemistry right now because you're not on the right positions, but you can make a team in this way too. So is the card worth getting? It's worth getting in the concept of it being one of the closest meta players that isn't Ronaldo, but it's still really, really expensive. 500k is very, very steep for him, right? And people really like the card, and he's that expensive because of his pace, but I wouldn't necessarily pay for the card for that much, in my honest opinion. But the reason why it's that expensive is because, again, it's the closest meta to someone like Cristiano Ronaldo. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. If you guys did enjoy it, please drop a thumbs up on it. Definitely helps the channel a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Love you guys.